The Panama Canal has been a key global trade route for over a century, but it now faces a major crisis. In response, China is investing billions in alternative shipping routes, including a shocking $7.5 billion canal project. Adding to the tension, Mexico has joined the race with its own trade route plans, with the US, China, and Mexico racing to secure the future of global trade. The big question is, can China pull it off? Could this weaken the Panama Canal's importance? Is China setting the stage for a massive shift in shipping? Keep watching to find out. Panama Canal crisis. The Panama Canal is well known as a vital route for international maritime trade, but is now dealing with a severe water shortage. This crisis is especially because of the prolonged drought, worsened by the El Niño weather phenomenon. It has led to very low water levels in Lake Gatun, which is the primary water source of the canal. Authorities have been working on imposing restrictions on the number and the size of ships that can pass through the canal. This has led to disruptions to global shipping and major delays in international trade. The main cause of the water shortage in the Panama Canal is a major drought that is affecting the region. The El Niño weather phenomenon has been called the main cause of this low rainfall, reducing the precipitation that is formed during the rainy season. According to the World Weather Attribution Group, El Niño is the main factor behind the deceased rainfall that has disrupted canal operations and not human-induced climate change. To solve this problem of the declining water levels, the Panama Canal Authority 3 has implemented some measures to conserve water, reduce trade through that channel, and manage the crisis. From November 2023, the canal reduced the number of daily booking slots for vessels from 31 to 25, and then reduced it again to 18 in February 2024. However, due to all of these restrictions, it has caused long delays, and many ships have to queue to transit the canal. It also led to a lot of crowding around the canal, increased shipping costs, and caused potential delays in the delivery of goods around the world. The Panama Canal is an important center for global trade, handling about 3% of worldwide maritime commerce. These restrictions have forced shipping companies to look for alternative routes, like the Cape of Good Hope and the Suez Canal. It has also led to longer transit times and higher shipping costs. Aside from shipping companies, countries are looking for alternatives as they can't rely on the Panama Canal anymore. One of these is China, which is planning a $7.5 billion project to create an alternative trade route that connects the Pacific and Atlantic coasts. China explores alternative shipping routes. To handle the vulnerabilities of the Panama Canal, China has come up with some alternative routes that can be used to strengthen its global trade network. Its project is focused on actively collaborating with Colombia to develop a land-based rail system that will connect the country's Pacific and Atlantic coasts, creating an alternative route to the Panama Canal. This initiative is called a dry canal and involves constructing a railway network that would allow them to move goods between Asia and Latin America without the need for the Panama Canal. The main point of this strategy is a partnership between China and Colombia to build a railway linking the Pacific port of Buenaventura with the Atlantic coast. The aim of the project is to enhance trade connectivity and reduce reliance on the Panama Canal. Discussions about the project have started since 2011, when Colombia announced that they will be negotiating with China to create a transport route between Asia and Latin America. China's proposed dry canal consists of a railway system which serves as an overland alternative to traditional maritime routes. It connects ports on Colombia's Pacific and Atlantic coasts, streamlining the transportation of goods and offering efficient international trade. In 2023, the president of Colombia discussed with Chinese companies about developing a national rail network which can link ports on both coasts. The project also fits China's broader Belt and Road Initiative, which plans to expand infrastructure and trade connections around the world. Aside from this, China has been working on many projects to enhance trade. In 2013, Nicaragua granted a 100-year concession to the Hong Kong-based HK Nicaragua Canal Development Investment Company, limited to construct a canal connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. This ambitious project, estimated at $40 billion, aimed to provide a higher capacity alternative to the Panama Canal. However, financial challenges led to the closure of HKND's offices in 2018, leaving the project's future uncertain. Another plan by China is the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route, also known as the Middle Corridor. This route will link Southeast Asia and China to Europe via Kazakhstan, the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey. The route offers a shorter alternative to the northern corridor that goes through Russia and the southern maritime path through the Suez Canal. The latest developments, including the completion of the Baku to Tbilisi-Kars Railway in 2017, have improved its visibility. Then in 2022, cargo volume on the route doubled to 1.5 million tons, reflecting its growing significance in Eurasian trade. Located in Pakistan's Balochistan province, Gwadar Port is an important point of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and the broader Belt and Road Initiative. The port provides China with strategic access to the Arabian Sea, giving an alternative route for energy imports from the Middle East. This will also reduce China's reliance on the Panama Canal and Strait of Malacca. China's investments in alternative shipping routes are reshaping global trade dynamics. By diversifying its trade pathways, China seeks to mitigate risks associated with overdependence on existing routes like the Panama Canal and to counterbalance U.S. influence in critical maritime corridors. These initiatives not only enhance China's economic leverage, but also extend its geopolitical reach, particularly in regions like Latin America and Central Asia. China versus U.S. over Panama Canal. The Panama Canal has become an important point of strategic competition between the United States and China, and has also attracted stronger geopolitical tensions in Latin America. The U.S. has been very worried about China's influence in Panama, especially since it has been involved in infrastructure projects near the canal. Chinese contractors have been engaged in constructing bridges and opening ports in the region, leading to U.S. concerns about potential security risks and violations of the neutrality treaty in the canal. Some U.S. lawmakers are afraid that China's influence could cause it to obstruct U.S. maritime routes during conflicts. In a major geopolitical shift, Panama then decided that it won't renew its participation in China's Belt and Road Initiative. This decision came after the U.S. decided to reduce Chinese influence around the canal. China suspects that the U.S. is the cause of this and has criticized the U.S. for employing coercive tactics to undermine the BRI. They have also urged Panama to consider the long-term benefits of its bilateral relationship with China and resist external pressure. President Donald Trump suggested that China has been exerting excessive control over the Panama Canal, stating that the Chinese influence in the area is too much. He proposed the idea of the U.S. retaking control of the canal. But the Panama Canal has always been managed by the Panama Canal Authority, an autonomous agency under the Panamanian government. These statements prove that there are heightened tensions between the U.S. and China and the importance that the U.S. places on the Panama Canal. The tensions surrounding the Panama Canal are also proof of the broad strategic competition between the U.S. and China in Latin America. Both nations are trying to get the upper hand in the Panama region. The U.S. is trying to reduce Chinese influence, but China has its eyes on the new $7.5 billion project that won't require the Panama Canal anymore. China's Belt and Road Initiative. China's plan to create an alternative to the Panama Canal is a broader part of the Belt and Road Initiative. Launched in 2013 by President Xi Jinping, it is an extensive infrastructure and economic development project that plans to enhance global trade and stimulate economic growth across Asia, Europe, and Africa. It's often seen as a modern revival of the ancient Silk Road. The main point of the BRI is to enhance connectivity among participating countries. This is pursued through the development of land-based and maritime infrastructure, including roads, railways, ports, and pipelines. By improving these connections, the initiative aims to allow for smooth trade flows and the movement of people. China has been making major investments in infrastructure and wants to stimulate growth in participating nations, especially in developing regions. The BRI has supported projects such as airports, bridges, power plants, and telecommunications networks, contributing to job creation and poverty reduction. While the BRI is primarily presented as an economic initiative, it also carries significant geopolitical implications. Some analysts view the project as a means for China to expand its global influence and political reach. By financing and constructing critical infrastructure in various countries, China potentially increases its leverage over these nations, which has led to concerns about debt dependency and sovereignty. Critics argue that the BRI could serve as a strategic tool for China to project power and secure its interests abroad. Mexico's move with CIT. China is not the only country responding to the Panama Canal crisis. Mexico has started its interoceanic corridor of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, a $4 billion project that is focused on creating an efficient trading route between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. This is expected to offer a more viable alternative to the Panama Canal, improving global trade dynamics. The 7.5BN project is expected to transform a 186-mile railway line that connects the ports of Coatzacoalcos on the Gulf of Mexico and Salina Cruz on the Pacific Ocean. The railway is fitted with highway expansions and significant port improvements to handle massive freight traffic of up to 1 million containers annually. By building this corridor, Mexico plans to attract international industries and create special economic zones along the route. The zones will offer tax exemptions, regulatory relief, and infrastructure support, reshaping global supply chains. The 7.5BN is also offering an important alternative to the Panama Canal. With all the benefits of the 7.5BN project, it is still facing some challenges. There are environmental concerns and opposition from different indigenous communities. That's because the isthmus is home to different ecosystems and indigenous groups whose way of life is connected to the land. Mexico's interoceanic corridor represents a strategic move to enhance global trade routes by providing an alternative to the Panama Canal. While it holds significant economic promise, addressing environmental and social challenges will be essential to ensure its sustainable development. Modern revival of the Tehuantepec trade route. The Isthmus of Tehuantepec in Mexico dates back to the mid-19th century as a strategic corridor for interoceanic trade. That's because it has had a narrow land bridge between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. After recognizing its potential, the Mexican government granted concessions to different entities to develop a transit route across the isthmus. By 1907, under President Porfirio Diaz, the Tehuantepec National Railway was completed, spanning about 303 kilometers. The railway reduced transit times for goods moving between the two oceans, making it an important trade route. However, the prominence of the railway was short-lived. Due to the Mexican Revolution in 1910 and the opening of the Panama Canal for more direct and efficient maritime shipping, no one bothered about the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. By 2020, the former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador initiated an ambitious project to revitalize the Tehuantepec trade route through the 7.5BN project. This $4.5 billion initiative plans to transform the isthmus into a competitive logistics hub, providing an alternative to the Panama Canal. Currently, the existing 303-kilometer railway connecting the Coatzacoalcos and Salina Cruz has been undergoing comprehensive upgrades to handle modern freight and passenger services. The main goal is to enable cargo transportation across the isthmus within about 6 hours. Mexico is carrying out major investments to modernize the ports of Coatzacoalcos and Salina Cruz. These upgrades aim to increase cargo handling capacities and improve logistical facilities, ensuring seamless integration with the upgraded railway system. The project plans to also build 10 industrial parks alongside the corridor, similar to the economic zones made by China's $7.5 billion project. This attracts domestic and international investments, creating jobs, economic growth, and stimulating regional development. The 7.5BN is expected to offer a faster and more cost-effective route for goods moving between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, making it a viable alternative to the Panama Canal. It reduces transit times and provides modern infrastructure, attracting a lot of interoceanic cargo traffic. As of late 2023, the railway modernization is nearing completion, with freight services already operational and passenger services expected to commence soon. The port upgrades and industrial park developments are also progressing, with several facilities slated to become operational in the coming years. Upgrades and infrastructure development. The interoceanic corridor of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec is meant to establish a strategic trade route between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Some of the key components include significant upgrades to the rail line, expanding the ports, and developing industrial parks, airports, and highways to attract investment. A central element of the 7.5BN is the rehabilitation of the Tehuantepec Isthmus Railway, originally constructed in the early 20th century. The project involves refurbishing 227 kilometers of railway, 82 bridges, and 290 drainage systems along Line Z, which connects the port of Salina Cruz in Oaxaca to Medias Aguas in Veracruz. These enhancements are expected to increase train speeds from the current 20 kilometers per h to 70 kilometers per h for cargo trains and up to 80 km/h for passenger trains, significantly improving transportation efficiency across the isthmus. The CIAT is also focusing on modernizing and expanding the ports of Salina Cruz and Coatzacoalcos. With these upgrades, Mexico can enhance the capacities of the ports and handle increased cargo volumes, thereby allowing for efficient trade between the two oceans. The improved ports are expected to serve as pivotal nodes in the interoceanic trade corridor, boosting Mexico's position in global commerce. To attract investments and stimulate economic development in the region, the CIAT plans to establish 10 industrial parks, each one covering about 300 hectares. These parks have been called development poles for welfare and will offer various tax incentives to businesses, including income tax exemptions for the first 3 years and major reductions in the next years, as long as they can meet their job creation targets. What's more, the project includes the construction of 3 airports and new highways to improve connectivity, projected impact on global trade. The CIAT is expected to make a major impact on global trade, especially as it offers an alternative route to the Panama Canal. The corridor plans to handle 300,000 cargo containers annually, with expectations to reach 1.4 million by 2033. Despite these projections, the Panama Canal currently processes around 4 million containers per year, maintaining its dominance in interoceanic trade. Consequently, the CIAT is unlikely to surpass the Panama Canal's capacity in the foreseeable future. The strategic location of the CIAT and all its expected infrastructure makes it an important trade route, especially when looking at the recent shifts in Mexico's trade dynamics. What's more, Mexico's trade with the United States is now more than that with China, showing the importance of North American trade relations. This development enhances the CIAT's relevance as a crucial backup trade route, offering a more direct and efficient path for goods moving between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. The corridor's infrastructure improvements, including rail line enhancements and port expansions, further bolster its capacity to handle increased trade volumes. Importance of trade route to U.S.-Mexico-China relations. The Panama Canal has always been an important point in global trade, but it is now influencing U.S.-Mexico-China relations. Its strategic location and capacity to handle vast shipping volumes, making it indispensable for international commerce. But countries are now seeking alternative routes. Mexico's trade relationship with the United States has grown substantially, surpassing that with China. This shift underscores Mexico's increasing importance as a trade partner and its potential role in facilitating transoceanic commerce. In response, Mexico has initiated the interoceanic corridor of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, a project aimed at creating a direct rail link between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. This corridor is designed to handle significant cargo volumes, offering an alternative to the Panama Canal. China has been facing tensions with the United States and is now exploring some alternative trade routes to reduce its reliance on the Panama Canal. Collaborations with countries like Colombia to develop dry canals and investments in $7.5 billion projects are part of China's strategy to secure a direct and efficient trade pathway. These will help China to avoid potential vulnerabilities and enhance their global trade influence. The United States has been expressing its concerns over China's growing influence in regions that surround the Panama Canal. The U.S. has been pressuring Panama to reconsider agreements with Chinese contractors that operate ports at both ends of the canal, calling it potential national security risks. The evolving trade relationships and infrastructure developments among the U.S., Mexico, and China are reshaping global trade routes. While the Panama Canal remains a critical passage, alternative routes like Mexico's CIAT and China's infrastructure projects are gaining prominence. These developments are influencing trade dynamics and geopolitical strategies, positioning Mexico as a key player in the future of global commerce. Geopolitical implications of Panama Canal alternatives. The Panama Canal has always been a strategic asset, but with countries looking for alternative routes, there are some geopolitical implications. It is facing challenges because of climate change, which has led to severe droughts that have reduced water from the canal's primary water source. Because of this situation, authorities are implementing restrictions on the ships that can pass through. The pursuit of alternative routes has significant geopolitical implications. The United States has expressed concerns over China's growing influence in the region, particularly regarding Chinese investments in infrastructure projects in Panama. The U.S. has pressured Panama to reconsider agreements with Chinese contractors operating ports at both ends of the canal, citing national security risks. Trump has also been focusing on Latin America, including demands for the return of the Panama Canal and threats to retake control. Rather than creating an alternative route, the U.S. is focused on controlling Panama instead. But by confronting Panama, it has led to undermining their national identity and economic stability, causing Latin American countries to seek allies like China to counterbalance U.S. influence. The exploration of alternative trade routes in response to the Panama Canal's challenges underscores the evolving geopolitical landscape. Nations are seeking to enhance their strategic positions through infrastructure development and international partnerships, potentially altering traditional trade patterns and alliances. The outcomes of these initiatives will have lasting implications for global trade and international relations. What do you think about China's plans? Will this reshape global trade routes forever? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.